Hi everyone, this is Christina. This is part 2 of the explicit nature of love. As I finished Love in Time with Cholera, what I found interesting is that the rest of the book continued with the first book it started. The interchanging of love to describe not just the emotion, but also the act. It also described in detail how the aging process happened with Florentino and how their lives played out. But I want to more talk about how they describe love explicitly. They still use the terms interchangeably. So sometimes you were confused, where you weren't sure if Florentino really was in love with this woman or if he was just making love to her. So it sometimes led you to wonder what way he went. In one circumstance, and I can't think of the woman's name, he loves a woman who has many things in her house, who has a captain that she is also involved with. And it says in the book that he knew she was in love with him when she took the glasses off first, because in the normal circumstance of their relationship, they were usually undressed and walking around naked. So that I thought was interesting, where they changed it to where it said fell in love, and you knew they meant the emotion. You just knew. You knew they weren't talking about the act. So luckily we had that context to be able to understand the difference. But at the same time, why did they use the term love instead of sex? Well, this book was written in the late 80s, so sex was not really, it was kind of not acceptable, to where it was just, not really talked about that much. So maybe the term love was used to supplement that, but they also used the term slept with when they talked about Leona being Florentino's first female friend, where he realizes with her that you can be friends with a woman and not sleep with her. Was this an uncommon thing back then? I honestly don't know. And I don't know if it's an assumption that if a man is friends with a woman, he's sleeping with her. That might be a stereotype. I know that from personal experience as a girl, everyone assumed that me and my best friend, who was a boy back in middle school, that we were dating, but we weren't. We weren't like that. We were just friends. And that's always the problem. That apparently being friends with someone of the opposite sex meant you were in a relationship with them. No. I have had many male friends of myself, but I've never had relationships with any of them. Except for my current one right now. He's practically my friend, but he's also my boyfriend. And when you say, boyfriend, girlfriend, you mean that you are in love. So that can be confusing sometimes to people, where you can be just friends or more than friends. Are you more? Or are you just? It's very interesting that this book decided to point out that Florentino realized you can be friends with a woman without going to bed with her. Yeah, I know that myself, and I don't know if that was not normal or something, but I guess for him it wasn't normal. It was unusual. And then there's age. Melissa talked about the big number. I'm talking about an even bigger number. Bigger as in meaning. For us, age is something that we either love or we dread. I am in my 20s. In 3 years, I'll be 30. Yikes. And sometimes age, excuse me. Ooh. Sorry about that. I lost my breath. So, my question in regards to love, and this is all about love, is age really, age is just a number. That's what they say. So, is there a point where can love be inappropriate at an old age? From the book, Fermina's daughter thinks it's inappropriate for her to be with Florentino because of his reputation. But Fermina basically tells her off because she thinks she's not being reasonable, to where she cuts ties with her and only says goodbye right outside the door of her house, not even letting her in the house. Her son, however, reacts the other way with Florentino and is happy that Florentino's with her because he thinks that old people should be with old people so they can comfort each other in their old age, especially since his mother no longer has his father. And he was talking about nursing homes. I remember being mentioned in the book. He was trying to push forward that notion that old people should be with older people. They shouldn't be with the younger generation because it makes them depressed because they realize they're older than everyone else. And that whole thing. So, but then when he realizes Florentino's going on the riverboat, even he doesn't think it's appropriate, and his wife gives him an icy stare, as if to say, are you really like your sister where you think this isn't appropriate? So, can you be too old for love? I honestly don't think so. I think you can fall in love a lot of times. Now, the way we draw the line is underaged, where you can fall in love with someone who's way older than you. However, you cannot make love with someone who is underage. Not only is it illegal, it's also disturbing. The part involving America was by far the part of the book I hated the most. I actually got nauseous while reading that part because it disgusted me beyond comprehension. And what's sad about all this is that, Florentino later on, when he's in the boat, finds out that she died because she had failed all her exams and she had drank this chemical and thus killing herself. Did she commit this suicide because of her failing grades, or is it because she missed Florentino, who she had fallen in love with? Um, you know, I'll be honest. I think you can fall in love at any time, but I also think there's a boundary that should never be crossed. And that is with the underaged, part of it. And so I'm curious to see what everyone thinks about age differences as far as love goes. Doesn't really matter. Why is it important? Because you notice that Florentino is talking about he's several years older than Fermina. He realizes that and he's like, I'm older than her. I'm gonna probably die before her. You know? So it's that whole constitution of thought. So I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone thinks about explicit love, how it's used, and the age in which love is appropriate.